This week on Rockstar Superhero. Mark Bravi, or as I still like to call him Marco, is a true musical upstart and an integral piece of the musical mission known as Virtual Symmetry. Hailing from Italy and vacationing in Switzerland, Mark gave me enough time and enough joy during our interview to make up for any emptiness in my life, perhaps ever. I don't know if I've ever met such a kind and easygoing guy. The new Virtual Symmetry record comes out in September, and the band heads out on tour right after with the beloved Swedish metalers Evergrey. I hope you'll buy the fabulous new record and see them on tour because they are smashing. This is my interview with my new buddy Mark Bravi of Virtual Symmetry, and this is Rockstar Superhero. Here's the thing. I love progressive metal. I love it.
So you're on the right track.
I'm on the right track. I love it more than anything because I'm a drummer. And as you can imagine, right, anytime progressive music is played, there tends to be a lot of notes that follow it.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
And I also like to play drums. So, I completely understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. And so simply put, so many bands, of course, have come before you, and they noodle a lot. They try a lot of ideas out, and that's fine. That's part of the charm of the genre.
Right.
But to me, so many big bands, and I'm not going to name them because I don't want to slight them in any way, go a little too far to one side. To me.
Okay, yeah. You mean from the metal / rock viewpoint?
Yeah.
Okay,
it gets too much, and so what they lose is groove and melody.
Yeah.
You know, the arrangements get too wild for their own good, and I think that's great if you're a 21-year-old jazz student in college.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, sometimes progressive rock bands, in my opinion, not all of them, fortunately, tend to, exaggerate sometime. Yeah, we wish to sound like Between the Bird and Me. We wish to sound like Dream Theater. We wish to sound like Tesseract or something like that. But I personally think that's not the right way to get into it.
Yeah.
I just think you have to be... Being a progressive rock player, you have complete freedom on what you wish to play, what you wish other people to hear and to listen to. So the trap of progressive metal is that you have some really clear influences, and you always wish to become better than them. I wish to take the flag of Dream Theater and bands like that.
Sure.
But I think that what makes a progressive rock and metal band unique in its genre is the creativity under it, and not the aim to copy something that has already been done before.
Yeah. It's so true. I never thought about the idea of gamesmanship. I mean, I know it's right in front of us, but there are so many bands that, as you mentioned, let's take Dream Theater. I'm not going to knock Dream Theater. I love Dream Theater.
Yeah, sure.
but if you take Dream Theater and you say like, let's apply this idea to Awake, for example. So Awake comes out in 1994, and the band really, in a lot of ways, sort of cements itself as the new direction of progressive metal at the time.
Yeah.
And the bands that follow immediately afterwards, bands like my own that were trying to sort of create a space for themselves, we tended to overcomplicate things to show our listeners that we could, quote unquote, do better than dream theater.
Yeah.
Which is insanity, but it's what so many bands do. And I guess that's why I said what I said. I love the musicianship and capability of your band, but I love that it's much more melodic than even a dream theater, to be fair. I think it's a very lovely thing, and you're right in the right place.
Well, thank you so much for the compliments. I think that the Italian blood makes its work through this, because we tend to be romantic, to create melodies, and you imagine classical Italian musicians, sitting on a piano, sitting on a chair with their guitars, and just singing stuff about love, theatrical and emotional, like almost pop songs. Yeah, but in a more how can I say it? It's a more romantic way of getting through music.
How Italian of you.
Yeah.
How Italian. I mean, no, it does. It makes sense. And maybe that's what sets Virtual Symmetry apart from the contemporaries, because I know I'm heaping a lot of praise, Mark, and I apologize because I know English is not your first lanlanguage.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry for my bad English.
No, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. You have that romantic accent. It's beautiful. But
thank you so much.
Yeah, Virtual Symmetry is it's like a pot of gold at the end of a Prague themed rainbow. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, to me, And yeah, that's probably what sets you guys apart, again, from your contemporaries, is this sort of romantic idea, trying to find a way to take these themes and these song structures and give them a certain sort of almost I don't want to say like gothic, but romantic. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I like to think that having this kind of composition technique and this kind of how can you call it, genetic inspirations. We tend to detach from the technical side of things and get we just maintain that. Unless it wouldn't be called progressive metal. But we just wish to bring in something which is typical of Italian music, which is romance.
Yeah.
Exactly. Even in lyrics as well.
Oh, interesting. That's something. So I'm going to throw myself under the bus right now, Mark. And I'm going to say...
Don't do that now. We're in the middle of an interview.
Well, okay, there's a little bit of blood going on. We're cool. But, I rarely, I admit it, I rarely listen to lyrics. And I think it's, well, I'm a rhythm player.
Right.
And I mean, that's my excuse anyway.
I completely understand.
And so to me, here's what happens. Here's my methodology. I hear the music and I say, ooh. That's part one.
Yeah.
And then I go back and listen to it again and sort of decide for myself if I like it as much as I think I do, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
And then as I fall in love with it, I start paying attention to the lyrics. But it takes a while. So I'm listening to the melodies of the singer, but I'm not listening to the words. Yeah. And even to this day, I mean, I would tell you I kind of don't know what most of the lyrics are for some of the classic, Dream Theater songs or Tesseract. I really don't know.
Sure. Yeah. I do that as well. So I just grew up without without remembering which artists and which tracks I was listening to.
Sure.
Because I got so much involved into the music listening side of things that I just completely forgot who was playing that stuff. Wow. So yeah, I'm just trying to catch up with it in these last 2 years.
Yeah.
So I think your kind of musical listening ability is dictated by what you play, what you do with your music. So being purely rhythmic, It's not purely rhythmic because there's a melodic side of drum playing, but being mainly rhythmic, you just, I think, you just try to follow the music along and find the rhythmical patterns, which are a lot in progressive metal music.
Yeah.
So you have to listen to the tracks 20 to 30 times just to begin listening to the lyrics.
That's exactly it. And as a drummer, so my favorite thing was to play along with records, right? And so I would listen and listen and listen and listen and listen. So it would get immersed in my head, because there's two sides of it. There's the discovery of learning how to play the song given its time changes and feel changes, and then there's literally the technical aspect of, can I play the double bass that way? Can I play a fill in the same the same way the drummer is creating it originally? Because the goal for me was always to use that music to increase my abilities.
And that is exactly what we do. So being a progressive musician, I'm not talking about metal or rock music, being a progressive musician leads you to pay attention to how everything's played and not what is played.
There you go.
Yeah. So I mean, you pay attention to what has been played, of course, but you pay attention most of how the musicians are, putting that on record and then on stage.
Yeah.
Which is way different.
Yeah. A friend of mine said years ago, and it's so funny because, here I was playing on the stages and I had my head down and I'm thinking about okay, here comes the big fill. I got to make sure I hit it. And then I would look up and the audience would be kind of bored, and it wasn't until honestly, I was a little older before I realized, oh, that's right. People go to see a band. Right. They go to see, and big lesson, kids. They're listening, sure, but they're there to see you. Do you inspire them visually? And I have a feeling Virtual Symmetry does a very good job of this live.
Wow, thank you so much. we actually can see that as we're playing. Sure. We're seeing things from a different point of view. Yeah. But, at the end of every concert we play, there's a lot of people coming to us and, asking, oh, wow, I like that part. Oh, wow, you sounded exactly like you were on the record. Right. So they are actually paying attention to what we are playing, how we're playing it, and how we're bringing it to the stage. So it's the marvel, I think, of the progressive universe is that people who listen to progressive metal and progressive rock music are progressive metal addicts. Most of them are musicians. Most of them are progressive rock musicians. Most of them are studying. So you're just being part of their learning journey.
Yeah. That's you know what? Nobody's ever said that to me, but you're absolutely correct. I mean, I think we all know this as musicians within the genre, but you're absolutely correct. We're all sort of using each other to discover, that was possible. Right. I say this a lot in my shows, I'm sorry, but the 4-minute mile, before it was achieved, nobody thought it was possible. Right. And then once it was achieved, pretty much every adult runner can do it.
It's the same kind of it's the same kind of experience, the same kind of journey. I totally understand that.
I mean, if I hadn't have heard Meshuggah, I would have never considered. I would have never considered playing, these strange, genty, polyrhythm, but it's actually all in 4.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's kind of it's a mental thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's see that I should call this interview. It's a mental thing. That's a great one.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Well, so do you feel it's important to play progressive music a certain way to stay within expectations of the genre, the way fans behave? Because, a second ago, you said, these musicians, they come up, it's mostly music for musicians.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there is a big expectation that you sort of stay within the playing by the rules of the genre. Do you think that Virtual Symmetry acts against those rules to create the band rules, or do you guys feel like you fit within the box?
So this is actually a discussion we have sometimes, because Valerio and Alessandro, the guitar player and the bass player, are more like let's go out of schemes, let's not follow the rules. The rules are meant to be broken and stuff like that, But Marco the singer, and I'm not talking about Alfonso, the drummer, because I don't know if you know, but we changed a couple of drummers during the years.
Mm-hmm.
So he's becoming now an active member of the band. But Marco and I are more, just like, let's stitch to what has been done before. Let's learn from it. Let's develop it. Let's not go too far from what has been done before. Or else, it's easier to make mistakes that way, to create something that people don't understand. And that's a problem with music, because in a world where everything is, I'm talking with you about rhythm, everything is in 4/4, it's
right.
Just adding a single time signature is a mess for the mind.
Yes.
It's a complete mess.
They can't bounce with it all of a sudden.
Yeah, right. Oh, come on, let's pogo. You can't actually jump to a progressive metal song. Just think about the Dance of Eternity from Dream Theater. It's I think one of the most complex progressive metal songs to follow and to play as well.
Yeah.
But just keeping in mind that progressive metal has almost unlimited ways of getting a track done, makes you think that you can do everything you want in the middle, but it's not the case, because being free to create everything you want without any borders, without any limit, makes you, as I said before, it makes it easier to make mistakes and to make people bored.
Yes.
Because that's too much information to be, assimilated by the brain.
Yeah.
That's too much.
Yeah.
And you just have to, reach that limit at which you think, okay, let's not make it harder than this, or people won't actually listen to it.
Yeah, you're so right. And I do have, I'm going to slam Dream Theater on one thing. And that is, they've gotten noodly as they've gotten older. So
right, I completely agree. Yeah,
you would think that they would have refined their sound and their style, but they haven't. They've actually gone farther out into the universe, which I mean is admirable in the sense that they're seeking to change musical boundaries in a sense.
Right.
But if I go back to 95, 96, A Change of Seasons. I don't know how familiar or how much you've memorized the actual song, A Change of Seasons.
I've listened to it several times.
Oh, yeah. So there's that section right in the middle, that right?
Right.
That is the coolest riff they ever did. I love that. And it lasts for 8 bars.
Right.
That's it. And I'm like, come on. They stick to that, play with that idea, come back to it, bring it back in a refrain, end the song that way, give us something. But instead,
don't let it stay just there. Yeah.
Right. They tease us with this awesome riff, and it's gone forever. And I mean, that was 27 years ago, and they still haven't played it in another thing, and it deserves its own song.
Yeah, I have a more recent example to make, because in View from the Top of the World, in the suite, there's this section that I personally love to bit, which is yes. And it lasts 10 seconds.
I know.
And it's never reprised again.
I know.
I hate it.
I hate it too. I don't know why. I don't know why. Everybody's just imploding right now. But I don't know why that happens. And I'm sure fans, I mean, because I've talked to this with a number of musicians like yourself, highly, people who've been in the business and are talented and understand the complexity of it and understand the simplicity of it. And and everybody says the same thing. They're like, that's a perfect example of a band with all these ideas, and they're so busy going after the ideas that they won't stick to one just really cool thing and develop it.
Yeah.
And that's why I like your band.
Well, thank you.
You stick to it. I mean, you play with ideas, but you don't go off too long. And because do you really want to watch a drummer play a 25-minute drum solo? And the answer is nobody does. Drummers don't. Nobody does. And I mean, like when Neil Peart would play the solos, look, this is blasphemy to everybody. They bored the hell out of me. When I was 12, I thought it was really cool because I couldn't do that. And then when I discovered as I grew up that what he was playing wasn't hard, it was very creative and beautiful. But what he was playing wasn't actually difficult as a drummer. And so to me, it bored me. And as he got older, he lengthened the solos.
Right, exactly.
They just got longer, and God bless him. He was a fantastic drummer, a true innovator. Clearly from all points, he was a nice guy, right? A brilliant mind.
Yeah, sure.
But those drum solos were just yawn. I mean, I just hated it. So I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just a jerk.
Well, you are a drummer, so you're seeing it from the first person viewpoint. So you can understand perfectly how that works.
Yeah.
So, being Neil Peart yourself, you wouldn't be playing a 25 minute long solo. You just stick to the 2 minutes and just go on with the track.
Right. And, so many people, I know there's people listening to this show right now that are like, oh, yeah, you think you can? Yeah, it wasn't hard what he was doing. If you're a drummer, if you're an established, developed drummer, I've been playing for 50 years. Yes, I can do it. Yeah. It's not that hard. It's designed to sound hard.
Exactly, yeah.
But it's not hard. And all drummers with any skills can do it, right? They're just not, we're not bragging about it, but maybe we can do it. And so, I just didn't want to be taken on a journey I didn't need. It was needless. So I'm sorry for this complaining, but
oh, come on. We're chatting, aren't we?
We are.
Yeah.
One of the things I like to ask bands like yourselves is, there's so many subgenres in progressive music, in metal specifically,
and they're growing year after year,
and everybody's got a new name for a style and all this stuff, and I imagine people like me or music magazines or promo companies, they're seeking to put you in a certain category. Does that frustrate you? And regardless of the frustrations, how do you categorize yourself? Is it just progressive metal, or do you actually have a subgenre you go down?
So,
or progressive rock?
It's a hard question because not because of the question itself, but as we changed a lot going from album to album. As soon as I got into the band, I just I fed Valerio's idea to be a cinematic progressive metal band.
Yeah.
Which, spoiler alert, has been completely demolished in this new album. So the new album is going to be metal.
Yeah, I know. Live. I've heard it. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You can imagine listening to each track in a live environment.
Yes.
And not just on a record, not just in a movie or in a video game or anything like that.
Yeah.
So we just kept developing ideas and trying to move in one direction. But as you know, from musicians' viewpoint, it's impossible to go in one single direction while composing. actually. While playing, you can, but in the composition process, in progressive rock and metal music, you have, as I said before, so many creative ideas, which demolished the boundaries you have. So we began calling ourselves, it was originally a solo project by Valerio, the guitarist, Valerio Villa, and he used to call it progressive romantic rock, as it was rich of melodies and, this kind of ambient sections, long sections. So then I got into the band. I am a fan of orchestral music. I'm not a student of orchestral music. I just listen to it. I love it. And I brought some of the orchestral elements and the soundtrack elements into the music, even with speeches or the addition of a real orchestra and just writing demo arrangements for the orchestra to be followed. So we just kept on moving that way until we discovered, okay, we've done Exodus. It's a concept album. It's a concept orchestral soundtrack. Actually, it's a soundtrack. Being it a concept album, it should fit perfectly for a movie or a video game.
I think that's why I'm drawn to it.
Oh, right. You love it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, nice. I do. I love it.
It's been a lot of work.
Well, yeah, I was going to say it's been a lot of work. It's been a long time. Obviously, COVID and the world situation has gotten in the way of that, and at the same time allowed its development to percolate.
Yeah, but from a personal viewpoint, I should tell you something which is interesting about my COVID experience.
Okay, please.
So, in 2020, I actually moved out from home and began living on my own.
Wow.
And as soon as I moved out, everything got blocked. So I just found myself in a completely, different space, completely on my own, without the possibility to leave it, to meet people, to exchange ideas. And I actually detached from the music environment from 2020 to 2021. I'm not a musician as a full-time job. And being, in front of a computer for 8 hours a day and then switching, like Batman from that computer to the computer of a musical producer. Yeah, it just, when you don't have enough input for your inspiration, your creativity, and your musical activity, not being your main job, it just shuts down. You just wish to keep on, to grab what is stable and what is not so volatile like
music. What's predictable. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So I detached from it, but the guys kept on, fortunately, writing new songs. So as soon as I, got through all of this mess, I just decided I wanted to move on with this kind of life, this kind of split stuff. And in 2021, I just began playing for lots of musicians. I just signed up to Fiverr. I don't know if you know this.
Oh, no, I didn't know this. That's awesome. Okay. Really?
Yeah. And I recorded keyboards for whole records, for single tracks, recorded some solos. I just began writing lyrics for emerging artists. I love helping emerging artists. Wow. So that kind of activity linked to the 8-hour work just brought me new ideas, which I could put into the new Virtual Symmetry record as soon as I got into the band again in November 2021. So it's been a long time without actually taking care of Virtual Symmetry.
Wow. So that's great. I'm glad you shared that because I didn't know. And it goes to show you the level of talent too, because to go in and out and to sort of, as you're out, to develop and bring back all this new abilities and new ideas. That's great for you. And it also goes to show you the level of talent. I'm not trying to make you uncomfortable.
No.
But the level of talent and skill to be able to reinsert yourself and to be back at top, peak form that's pretty badass, man.
But thank you so much. You're overestimating me, huh?
Maybe, but I listen. As a drummer, look, I'm sitting in the back of the room, right? I mean, so I imagine when I listen to songs, anything on the radio, whatever, I'm imagining myself in the band. So I'm listening to bass tone. I'm listening to keyboard parts. I'm listening to the actual patches and saying, is that a good choice? It's how I listen to music. I can't help but analyze it. I'm not sitting there like a professor trying to write down, the math behind it, but I am listening to it as if I'm in the band. And so I notice every little nook and cranny, and you can't perform that kind of music if you aren't at a very high level. So it's not blowing smoke. It's just, it's very clear you and everybody else in the band is very talented.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, we all are. We just we found one of our families, actually.
Yeah.
We're like brothers now.
Yeah. And that's what it's about,
Right.
So let me ask you this, Mark. Not to go off tangent or to get away from your band too much, but is there an artist out there or is there a band out there right now that is completely blowing you out of the water? Something maybe you've never heard before, or something you've fallen in love with recently?
So it's not a recent love, but it's a long-lasting love from 10 to 12 years ago, I think.
Wow. Okay.
One time, I discovered new music just browsing. Now there's Spotify, but at the time there was just YouTube. And if you didn't have a MacBook, you couldn't use the Apple Music and stuff like that. So you just had to go on YouTube and just play music casually. And each music video, each album suggested random related albums. And I just began listening to Diablo's Wing Orchestra. I don't know if you know them.
I know of them, but I've never listened. I admit I haven't listened to it, so now I have to.
Okay, yeah, you should. Because as a drummer, you will find some really creative ideas, because they tend to fuse metal music, actually progressive metal music, to genres like Latin, samba, foxtrot, bluegrass. They just go nuts, and I love it. I just love the fusion of genres, and that's why I love progressive metal.
Yeah,
it's just like putting lots of genres into a mixer, and just switch it on.
Yeah.
And see what comes out.
Yeah, man. Dirty Shirt.
I don't know that.
Oh, see, now that's
I have to mark them down.
Yes, please do. So it's. I imagine it's not the same, of course, of what you're referring to, but Dirty Shirt is a Romanian folk metal band. Okay. And they play, real groovy, like heavy groove, soulfly type metal.
Cool.
and break it up with like old school Romanian folk and
traditional music,
like accordion and violin.
Wow.
And it's so cool.
I love it. I should listen to them right after the interview. Yeah. Cool.
Wow.
Dirty Shirt. Yeah.
You'll like them.
Okay.
Well, so you've done a lot of work. You mentioned the Fiverr stuff. Obviously, you've played with some, or I should say, maybe other members in the band have played with other members from some of the bigger bands like Dream Theater. I know Jordan was involved with something with Virtual Symmetry.
Yeah, we actually had him as we had him as a guest in 2 of our albums. The first one was Message from Eternity. He played a couple of solos in the track Program Error. We Are the Virus, which, fun fact, I had to learn and play on stage, as we couldn't afford Jordan Rudess for every single live show. Right. So being able to listen to, as a keyboardist, to that signature sound in our records was a huge emotion for me. I was stunned when I first listened to them, and to see Jordan and to hear Jordan appear again on Exoverse with the closing solo of the Exoverse suite and a cool piano improvisation that was done on the fly, on the go. We just sent him, we sent him the first track, Entropia, which is the overture of the concept album, which contains every theme that will be reprised during the single tracks.
Awesome.
And we just told him, okay, so at the end of the 7th track, just before the suite, play a piano improvisation based on the themes. In a couple of weeks, he sent us this cool 3 minutes improvisation containing all the themes of the album. And to be listening to him as a pianist, rather than a keyboardist,
right?
It was so exciting. Yeah. It was so cool.
And you got to learn it.
Yeah. Well, the piano stuff, I actually am not capable of learning it, as it's so complex. It's very, very complex. You have to be a pianist to be playing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there is a difference. There is, but I imagine like the 4-minute mile. I'm sure you can do it, Mark. It might take a while.
Yeah, right. Exactly. We can do everything we wish to.
Yeah. Well, so he's not technically a collaboration with you. Mm-hmm. Is it hard when the band, sort of brings in somebody to replace something? I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not saying they're replacing you. That's not what they're doing. Yeah. But, my ego, I don't know if I could handle somebody saying, "Hey, Neil Peart, come on in and play a part," because everybody's going to buy that record because of Neil, not because of me.
No, come on. So it's actually a fun thing, because you can just listen to how different the playing styles are. Yeah. We can actually listen to that by listening to our records from the X-Gate EP through Exoverse, played by with drums played by Thomas Lang, and this new record played by Alfonso. So I like this kind of challenge. It's a friendly challenge, because we are all there to make the record happen. Yeah. So it's a teamwork with professionals. So you just have, aside from getting tips while you're composing, while he's recording and asking you stuff about the album to perform it in the most perfect way he can, you just confront yourself with someone who plays from, more years than you, who's done lots of gigs and lots of appearances on stage, has played so many records, and every time you listen to it, it gives you that kind of strength and motivation that sometimes lacks during the composition process.
Yeah. Well, something I used to say years ago, are you familiar with Terry Bozzio?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. He was probably he and Vinnie Colaiuta were probably my 2 biggest influences as a drummer. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I first discovered Terry in the late 70s, early 80s, I thought there's no way I'll ever catch up, because he was at such a high level so young, and it was only going to get higher.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
sure.
And in the same token, I discovered as I aged, and I'm sure you're feeling this way as well, that, okay, we just start saying, okay, I may or may not ever be able to play that thing that he created, but I have my thing. And going back to the sound and the style, you do recognize, like you mentioned, Jordan, you absolutely can tell when Jordan is playing something. If you turn on the radio and Jordan happens to be guest playing on somebody somewhere, it's Jordan. There's this flow to the style, and literally the way he even uses the pitch wheel. Yep. And it's such an extraordinarily cool thing. And I think that sort of thing, it just takes time. You create your own voice. And
right.
you're a very young man. You have a lot of years in front of you, but your talent level is pretty exceptional. And
Wow. Thanks a lot.
well, I don't have any reason to blow smoke. It's just the truth. And listening to that record, I know what's you, and I think it's really, really great stuff because it captures me and it gives me the whew,
the goosebumps.
yeah, and I like that.
Oh, thanks a lot. It's nice to hear that.
Yeah. Well, so you got the new record coming out in September.
Yeah, the 16th.
Yeah, and it's just called Virtual Symmetry.
Right.
And I know it's an exciting time. Two questions about this record.
Okay.
Why give it an eponymous title? Like, why is this? Because I think this is your fourth album. Is this your fourth album?
It is. Yeah.
So why is your fourth album named Virtual Symmetry when it could have been maybe the first album? Do you see what I'm saying? And
sure.
Does it finally represent what you believe is the best form of the band so far? Is that why?
That's an interesting question because it's actually the best we can be right now at this moment as a band. But as single members, this is Virtual Symmetry is like a manifesto of our single personalities fused into one album. So you can hear the single elements being their best along with the others in each track. It's not a band work. It actually is a band work because we put everything together in we were in the same room. We just listened to the tracks together. We shared ideas about arrangements. I remember Marco telling me some notes to play. I remember me telling him some notes to sing, Valerio suggesting something to be played on the drums. So it's been a lot of work. Yeah. It's been less work than the extra stuff because being it a concept album, requires more attention to it.
Right.
I've never spent that many nights awake like during the Exodus composition process. But this time we just wanted to be, the best version of us as musicians playing for the same objective.
Yeah.
So it's, it's as I was telling before, it's like a live show environment. So it's not improvisation.
Right.
But it was taken care of that way.
Yeah. Well, it's clearly well rehearsed. There's
it is.
Right. There's no such thing as playing programming this type of music. This music has natural feel. It has to have natural feel. Yeah. And flow, but it has to be performed at such a high level that it doesn't sound stuttered, if that makes sense.
Exactly. It does make sense. So just, linking myself to what you said right now, I have some cool anecdotes to tell you. So from my point of view. Yeah. So as I told you before, I just caught up with a band in November 2021. My keyboard tracks were recorded from January 2022 to May. So in 5 months, I listened to the tracks. I just, talked to the guys to know what they wished me to play in each track. And this exchange of ideas brought me in an easier state of mind, in a calmer state of mind, so that I could, just lay down my keyboard tracks in a way that fit the most each single track, without being the one composing them.
Yeah, big difference.
Yeah, exactly.
So much more comfortable.
Yeah. So it was a guitar-based. It is a guitar-based album. It's a rhythmic-based album, and you will listen to it, and you will figure it out by yourself. But My job in the band is actually to create the harmonic movements in this rhythmical time signature changes and these epic atmospheres. So being able to have a very strict, if you wish, rhythmical line to be followed in each track made my work easier in a certain way.
Sure.
Just because I had, a bass to be followed.
Right. But if can I inject an idea?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not obviously in the band, and so I don't necessarily know the songwriting process and the interplay between the other musicians. But what I love about what you've done, and it's what I paid attention to as I listened to the recording, is that you've created the mood. You've actually bolstered. Do you know this word, bolster?
Right. Yeah. Just to glue together.
Right. You've taken what they've created and you've elevated it by the layers you've put on top of it. You've put the cherry on the sundae.
Wow, I'm actually, I love fruits, so that's my...
You're the cherry, man. You're the cherry.
I am the cherry, man. Here I am. And I also get red as a cherry when I go out in the sun, so it's kind of appropriate.
You're the Italian cherry. That's what we're going to call us, Italian cherries, man.
Cool, yeah, I love it.
No,
So yeah, it's been a strange way of composing, putting the tracks together. Because we've never done something like that before, because I've never taken such a long pause from the band.
Yeah.
And that's what made it different, I think, in my personal opinion.
For you, at least, your perspective. But but I think so here's the thing, we've all sort of complained about how the world has changed, how politics has gotten in the way, how everybody's polarized, everybody's angry all the time. Mm-hmm. But to me, COVID and the world environment, not in all cases, but in most cases, it's forced us to pick something and to stand behind it.
Yes. Yeah.
And as frustrating as that can be for politics or religion or anything else, it's been extraordinary for music because it's forced somebody like yourself to say, I'm going to commit to this thing. I'm going to become the very best I can. And because the pandemic has given me time, I can take my internal resources and turn them into art. And that is an amazing thing. So I'm really grateful for this time in our world as much as I despise certain aspects of it.
Oh, yeah, I actually agree with you. And I share your thought about it. Because, I know for the guys, it's been a cool, creativity development period. As they listened to lots of new music, they played lots of covers, they played with so many other musicians in the meantime for studio projects, as well as I did.
Yeah.
So for me, it's been kind of a reverse, a reverse outcome. So I moving out of the music dreams I have always had. I just could see things from a different distance, and that distance made me think of what in that whole music world was my place, what I wished to do. This is a kind of a spoiler of my life, as I wish to move more outside from live, the live environment, and get into the studio stuff, being more like a producer than a performer.
Yeah. Wow, man. I'm telling you, so I have somebody I want to introduce you to because I really think they could utilize your skills as a studio musician as well. So after we're done, don't hang up. And
Okay. I can hang up now if you wish.
Yeah, no. I'll get you a great contact. I think you'll be very pleased.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I don't want to continue to blow smoke up your tailpipe, but I think the band obviously is fully formed. It's you guys have. I don't want to say you're at your very best because I think you're still going, but I mean you're at your very best for now. As you mentioned, and that's so true. Very creative. What do you think is the hardest part about being a modern musician in this world? Because we live in a world where there's so much material, there's so many bands, everybody's trying to get seen, to get heard. I mean, is it easier to get your material heard today, or is it harder? Do you just have to know somebody? What's the secret?
So I actually think the secret is consistency, because as you said, there's lots of stuff being posted now.
Yeah.
So from cover music from students to early new project to studio releases from bands which are in this industry, have been in this industry for a lot of time. So there's this kind of how can I say that? It's not like throwing trash out of the window, but the metaphorical aspect of it is almost like that, because in the trash you can find the good stuff and the bad stuff.
True.
So you are just putting everything out to the world at the same measure, at the same time, with the same frequency. So it's kind of hard now to pick one single musical environment, one single musical activity, one single musical world, one single band from the rest. Because nowadays the freedom to, I actually love how much freedom has the technology and the digital world given to the music industry. But in the meantime has made it more confusional, because everyone is everywhere at the same time.
Yes.
So it's consistency what makes the difference right now. But everyone is consistent the same way.
Yeah. Well, so here's a thought, and this is not advice. I know this is going to sound like advice, but it's not. But for listeners of this podcast, this interview, this is advice, because for somebody like Marco or myself, even, we've done this for a long time and we're at a high level, but we also understand that not everything works, but it's worth shooting for. And so as an example, like, you mentioned Thomas Lang a second ago, who's a phenomenal drummer. He can play any style. He's one of the few true drumming heavyweights in the world, and he's played on hundreds and hundreds of albums and just extraordinary. But he, if you were to hire him today, you would send him your 4-minute track. He's going to interpret it how Thomas Lang interpreted it.
Exactly. Right.
And when you receive that track back, you might hate it.
Yeah, there's a percentage of that.
Right. Which is a very strange thing, because your brain says, yeah, but it's Thomas Lang. But here's the thing. What Thomas is doing, and I think you do this too, Mark, and, the great musicians say, you've given me this track, I'm going to play it how I would play it. I'm going to play it with my voice. Yeah. And if it works for you, great. If it doesn't, I did my best.
Right. Yeah. That's the point.
Loses, right?
That's the point.
Right.
Well, once you reach that point, you've reached, it's not actually your best, but you have a total comprehension of what your limits are, who you are, how you play, and what you play.
Yeah.
So people calling you to play on a record already know what to expect from you.
Exactly. And that's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
Yeah. So everything you deliver at the end is actually what the clients, let's talk about them like this, what they expect.
Yes.
So they, as soon as they send you the request of playing on a track, it's like they already listened to that part being played on the track at the end.
Right.
And that's what happened to us for Thomas Lang. I actually, this is a fun fact, for the XKTP and the Exoverse album, I personally took care of the demo drums. I just wrote them with Superior Drummer and, built everything on them. So I just sent the demo, the demo drum tracks to Thomas Lang, and I just asked him, Thomas, listen to this, play whatever you wish to play. Just keep in mind that these are the accents, because accents depend on what other instruments are playing.
Right.
So he's a teacher. He's a master drummer. So he doesn't need this kind of information,
Right.
But
it helps.
Exactly. Just having a bass, like I did for this record, for this new Virtual Symmetry record, I had everything I needed. I just had to put myself over it, or into it, actually, in between.
Right, but don't you think? I mean, going back to what I was saying a second ago, don't you think that makes it perfect? And I mean, and hear me out. Mm-hmm. I use the word perfect because I believe, and I do believe this, and maybe this is more of a spiritual thing. Mm-hmm. But I believe that when we do something like you and I, we're having a conversation right now. It's fun. It's friendly, it's real, but let's pretend that you're being you and I'm being me, and we're just not connecting. There's nothing wrong with that. It just means we don't connect, and that's okay because we're not going to connect with everyone. Mm-hmm. But I do believe in perfection. I believe in perfection. Like you and I connecting today, to me, is perfection because we like each other and we get each other's vibe.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So that's a kind of me stuff. So I just getting back to the COVID, the COVID stuff we were talking about earlier. Being by myself for such a long time has just helped me develop who I am, because I just grew up loving everyone, just trying to merge with any kind of group of people, which shared my ideas, even in a very small percentage. But I just got that, 2-3% of, common stuff between them and me, just to link each other, just to link to them. But I just discovered that, as you mentioned before, some people are not meant to communicate.
No.
So
some people are not for you.
Right, exactly. So COVID helped me with that, because it just helped me make the difference between the people who I vibe with and those who I don't.
Yeah.
So just being able to draw a line between those two kind of groups helps you even in the artistic environment, because people who don't vibe with you just won't expect what you have for them.
Yes. Yes.
I don't think if I explained that perfectly.
No, but I understand. I know.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah. I mean, not everybody, for a guy like me who likes to make friends everywhere, not everybody's going to be on my team. And I'm 55, almost 56 years old, and everything in my brain says, I want everybody to love me, and I want to love everybody, and because I'm positive about that relationship. I'm positive in connecting with you, and I want to, in a sense, become a friend with you, right? Not just an acquaintance. I want to know Mark. I want to hang.
I do as well.
Right. I want to come to Italy or Switzerland or wherever you are at the moment, and hang out with you and have a coffee and just talk about things that give us joy, you know?
Yes.
And so that's beautiful, but I've interviewed people that I've had a really, really good time with, but we just didn't connect on a cellular level.
Oh, yeah.
And that sucks, but what are you going to do, man?
It's life. We live in the same world. That doesn't mean we are all the same.
Yeah, not one of us, man.
Right,
not one of us. I could put 100 people in the room, all with the same political motivations, the same religious motivations, the same everything, and they're going to have 100 different ideas.
Right. They can find something to argue about.
Yeah. So you pretty much told me exactly what I wanted to know about you, which is I like the fact that you've evolved as an artist, but you're so comfortable being you. You know, that's you made it clear that you are. And I think that's really cool. You know, you're always developing and growing, but you like who you are and the direction you're going. So, you know, if I could ask sort of a last question, I hate the idea of ending this because I really enjoy talking to you.
I do as well.
But, you know, is music a blessing? Is it a curse? Is it an uncontrollable passion? I mean, what is it for you?
So, you know, I want to add something to what you said. I like to link music and poetry, actually, because I don't know if some of you know, I also write the lyrics for Virtual Symmetry. Not for the last album, but I've written almost every track you've listened to. Wow. So it's kind of it's a curse for the best. So it's hard. Okay, that's great. So it's so hard, so frustrating, so difficult. So you have to make so much sacrifice to get what you want, what you wish to give to others, that, you know, you just bite your tongue so many times during the creation process. But in the end, you just have that kind of satisfaction you can only get, you know, after a war. After war is won.
Yes. Wow, that's a great way to put it. Nobody's ever said that to me, but that is so true. Well, and I recognize
I've actually never said that before. So you're the first one listening to this.
Yeah. I mean, Mark, that's brilliant, because cool. that explains that actually defines my own experience as well, because you get in these families, right? You said this earlier. You get in these bands, they become your family, they're your brothers, and brothers fight, right. Some more than others, but you figure out together how to craft and create. But when it's over, you're like, whew.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Like I got to go fix my house now because it doesn't exist.
Okay, so we've done this together. It's so cool. Okay, so guys, go to hell. I'm going to take care of my own business.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm going to go back and try to get remarried to my wife because
she left me as I left her for musical composition.
I had that happen 26 years ago. I pretty much got divorced because I was an inattentive husband, and it's the truth. And I wasn't a good husband, but we were young and all those dumb things, and I was trying to be a rock star, and she wasn't having it. You know what I mean? Right. So I mean, I get that.
Sure. So at this point, can I just give you a little spoiler of the lyrics of our
Please, album? You got to tell us.
Because it perfectly fits with the with what you're saying right now. So there's this track called I can't say the name, but you're gonna love it because it's gonna have an Easter egg in it, lyrically speaking. So there's this kind of piece I wrote with Marco. I was here in the office with him because I don't know if you know Valerio, Alessandro, Marco, and me work together as well for a real estate company.
Right.
So working together helps us, link to each other and share ideas together. So while Valerio and Alessandro were out of office, Marco and I started writing the lyrics for this track. And we got to this point where I had this kind of illumination and told him, okay, write down exactly these sentences. Okay?
Okay.
So I'm asking, hear me now, why do men seek destruction when peace is revolution and compromise is resolution? So you have to take the right amount of compromises with people to succeed.
Yes. It's not all one way. Everybody has to compromise. But does anybody want to compromise anymore? It's so rare, it seems.
So it's easier to fight than to find a compromise. It's harder, but
worth it.
Yeah. Way worth it.
Way worth it. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Okay. So now I'm going to listen to all the lyrics on the record. I'm going to go back and listen to it.
Cool. That was my aim from the beginning.
Yeah. You hit pretty hard on the lyrics in the first part of this conversation. I'm like, I pissed him off.
Yeah, it's a huge part of our records. So because we aim to share some kind of positive messages to our songs with the lyrics. The music is good as well. We have also released some instrumental tracks, instrumental versions of soundtracks. But just taking your time to go through the booklet without any music just makes sense as well. Yeah.
Well, look, I have loved this conversation today. I have loved this, and I think it's pretty clear for anybody listening. I know they're going to be like, I can tell you guys had a good time. So I'm assuming you had a good time today, Mark.
Yeah, I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to be here.
Thank you.
Right now, after the 1 hour mark. So yeah, that's cool.
All the listeners are like, would they stop talking, please?
Exactly.
Well, okay, so I want to say this because I want to do a little promo for you right now. The album comes out September 16th.
Yeah.
You're heading out on tour with Evergrey.
Right, exactly.
All throughout Europe. So
we're gonna the first gig is gonna be actually on the 16th on release day.
Is it in London?
No, it's in, I actually don't remember all the dates, but I think it's in Netherlands. We're going to start from there and then move around Europe.
Okay. Yeah, I know there's dates literally around the whole continent, so it's incredible.
It's 36 dates throughout 38 days, so we just have 2 days off in 36 gigs.
Everybody's going to be sick when they go home.
Yeah, or during the tour.
Yeah, people don't know how hard it is. It's so hard.
Oh, it's the first time for us, so it's gonna be tough.
Yeah. I mean, you're gonna love the first 4 days, and then you're gonna love the last 2 days.
Okay, yeah.
Because you're gonna count down, and obviously you're gonna have a lot of fun experiences. But yeah, lots of recycled farts and lots of miles. You know what I mean?
Sure. I can imagine.
Well, so I'm telling everybody, pick up a ticket for the tour. Buy the new album on pre-sale. You can go to virtualsymmetry.com.
You can find all the info there.
Right. Yeah. I clicked it. I went there earlier just to verify. It's right in the middle of the page. The CD is a great price. The music, I've heard the whole album because I get to, and it's awesome. So if you're anywhere near a fan of progressive rock / progressive metal, you're going to lose your mind for this record. So thanks so much for being here, Mark, and my absolute gratitude for experiencing this last hour with you. And I want nothing but the best for you. You guys are fantastic.
Thank you so much for having me, Rob. And thank you so much for all the compliments as a musician, as an artist, to receive this kind of, comments and, wishes just makes art purer in my point of view. So you just made me and the band, as soon as I tell them, happier. So being happier makes the music fresh.